So, one thing that is super common for a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with, particularly women, this is something that comes up quite a bit, is there's so much that comes up around visibility and safety. And this is one area where you'll often notice a lot of resistance around being seen. And it makes sense if we look at it through the context of history, especially for women, because there was a time in history that you could be burned at the stake, for speaking your truth or being visible or saying the wrong thing. And some areas of the world that might still be the case. And you know, I think that it's normal to feel fear and resistance around showing up and being visible. And this looks like so many different things. For new entrepreneurs, is just showing up and sharing on social media for the first time. For more established entrepreneurs, it might be being seen on larger stages or starting to scale with paid traffic and realizing suddenly your face is going to be in front of hundreds of thousands of people. And so there are these layers of visibility as you expand your platform and your personal brand. And what I've discovered around this is, first of all, a lot of this is the somatic practice of coming back to the body, creating safety in the body, and conditioning over time. And this is a practice, the nervous system to feel safe being seen. And so a lot of the work that I do with clients is around like parts work, where, for example, you can notice, okay, I'm feeling some resistance around showing up or being visible or sharing this thing online, and you can just connect to that part of you. And for me, it's just as simple as closing my eyes and putting my hand on my heart and getting, like locating in my body where I feel that resistance and just being with that sensation. And then getting really curious and almost having like a conversation with that part of myself and asking that part, like, what are you afraid of? Tell me more about what's coming up for you around this. When was the first time you felt this feeling? And oftentimes there'll be like a childhood memory or something that comes up around that. And you could just witness that part of you and allow that part of you to be seen and felt and heard and just witnessed, and just bringing love and compassion and presence to that part, so that over time, that part will soften and there's not as much of that resistance and fear. But oftentimes there still will be. And a lot of it is just the practice of showing up, feeling the fear, and creating safety through the experience of just realizing, oh my God, like I can show up, I can share, I can be visible in a really big way, and I'm safe. And some of that just comes through practice. And then I think the third piece of this is, I've talked about this in some other transmissions. I've discovered and I've learned through supporting so many different entrepreneurs through all sorts of various blocks and challenges in their business, that the root of, I would say, most, if not all, resistance is really just a preoccupation with self. And so when you're feeling resistance around visibility, if you look at it one level deeper, it's like just being focused on yourself. It's like, what are people going to think of me? Am I safe here? A lot of these thoughts are like, the root of them is really just like a preoccupation with ourselves. And I think the most effective way to flip out of this is to just shift your focus from self to other. The more rooted you are in your calling, in your mission, in the impact you're here to make, in the people that you're here to serve, the more focused you are on other people, the less self-consciousness there will be around visibility, around what are people going to think of me, around, oh my God, am I going to come off as salesy? Are people not going to like me? What if people have all sorts of opinions about me? Like all of these thoughts and stories that come up and resistance that comes up around just sharing and speaking your truth starts to melt away. The more focused you are on the people that you're here to serve. When I show up and I run live trainings, or I show up here and I speak on camera, I really don't feel much self-consciousness at all. Like sometimes there'll be like a flicker of, oh, what are people going to think of this? Or did I say that the right way? But for the most part, I am so open as a channel that this idea is flowing through me. And there's just this sense of, yeah, it's like there's no me in it. And that way of expressing, that way of creating, that way of marketing, that way of selling feels very easy. And it's the end of resistance, truly. So, those are some tools and practices and shifts that might help you if you feel resistance around visibility. I just want to normalize this because it's something that comes up with so many entrepreneurs. And at the end of the day, uh, I think so much of it is just like being in the ring. It's like experiencing the resistance and then just being like, I'm going to keep showing up because I got really big work to do in the world and I'm here to serve and help a lot of people. And over time, it becomes easier and there's not as much of those blocks that stand in your way.